All right. Hey, this is Justin. Welcome to Making Waves, the I'm going to start that over again, shall we? Wow, ship, you got me all confused. Hey, this is Justin. Welcome to the welcome aboard the Making Waves ShipRocked podcast.
Woo! Success.
Is this video or just audio?
I'm Chad Nicefield. It's both video and audio.
At the same time?
I'm Chad Nicefield. Wait, what's that?
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Hey,
I love it. This is great.
Hey, let's start it one more time, okay, Chad? As soon as I'm done, you go right into you, Chad, and then we can start, okay, bud?
Got it. Yeah, I got you.
All right, on 3, 2, 1. Hey, this is Justin. Welcome aboard Making Waves, the ShipRocked podcast.
And I'm Chad Nicefield. Can you hear me now? My earpods just died, didn't they?
Absolutely.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, so I'm Chad Nicefield. Nice to see y'all, or hear y'all, or speak to y'all, however you're tuning in.
Anyway, guys, welcome to Making Waves, the ShipRocked podcast. As we've just said, Chad had a little bit of audio problems there, but we're all good now. Guys, welcome. Listen, real quick before we start, don't forget to subscribe to Making Waves. And if you like what you're hearing, please rate and review it and tell your friends about it. And we would appreciate that. Tonight's a really special edition of Making Waves. We have definitely one of the biggest virtuosos of the electric guitar, probably the last 25 years. And we're very pleased to have him tonight. So please, everyone, welcome Ron Bumblefoot Thal.
And the crowd goes wild.
Bumble, how are you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing good. It's good to see you guys.
You as well, man. You as well. Listen, before we start, obviously, the news came out today that ShipRocked 2021, unfortunately, is going to be moved to early 2022. We'll have that information coming to you next week. Again, it's just one of these situations we find ourselves in. It's very unique, but listen, it's all going to be for the best because we're going to be able to produce and present the cruise to you guys that you're always used to, and it's not going to be one of these ones that has, any of these kind of protocols that are sort of in place right now. We want it to be the full-blown extravaganza you guys are used to. So with that said, Ron, 2020, it's been interesting, but you've been busy, my friend.
You've been busy, yeah.
Yeah, you've got two really significant things that have happened for you. Obviously, you've had this planetary
lockdown. Oh yeah, the song. Yeah.
Planetary lockdown, where you basically had invited people to come on and pretty much play any instrument known to man, right?
So yeah, I put out a song in April. It was one of the first things when I was just isolating in the studio every day, and I finished up a song and put it out, as well as a couple of acoustic albums and all kinds of stuff with some of my bandmates from Sons of Apollo. We did some Beatles covers, just having fun, just taking advantage of this unexpected time and using it to be creative. So I made that song, and then over the summer I said, let me take out my guitar parts and just leave it open and put it out there where anybody can put their own stuff in there. So guitar players started adding solos to it, and I had a sax player, I had singers, I had violinists, a flute player, like all kinds of stuff. I had full bands that were all doing their own thing to it. A tabla player from India, like all kinds of things. And it's been over 400 videos people have made of themselves playing to this song. So I'm glad that people enjoyed it and they got to connect in that way, because you find that all the different people that would play on it, they would check out everyone else that's playing on it, and it created all these connections through these musicians that normally wouldn't have. So that's so
awesome. So are these videos that are out there, are they just on your channel? Because I went to find out what this is all about, or they are their own videos that are tagging you? Sick.
Yeah,
do you have like a TikTok channel or something too?
So they post them either on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or wherever, and they send me a link, and then I share it as well.
Oh, cool. Right on.
Do you see yourself at any point then, maybe as some of the ones that really blew you away? I'm sure all of them were fantastic. Do you ever see yourself when things kind of settle down, maybe getting them all together as one big collective and redoing it together as this mass ensemble?
That would be pretty insane.
You know, we always see things like 400 drummers doing the same song together. I said that would be fantastic if you did that. But anyone can. That's on YouTube, right?
Yeah, if you just do a search of it, you'll find so many videos everywhere and from all over the world. I had a lot of guitar players from Iran, from all kinds of places. Yeah.
Wow.
Like places you would not, you know, besides just the UK and the US. All over the world.
So you guys can look for Planetary Lockdown on YouTube, and I'm sure it's going to bring up 1,000 different searches. Check all of them out because as Ron just said, there's a lot of people doing this song. So that's interesting. But what just came out pretty much is more recent is the Ellison album, No Cover.
Yes. The No Cover album. So we've been working on that over the summer as well and finished that up. Yeah. How did
that all come together?
Oh, well, how did it even begin? It's just David's been working on a solo record, and I've been contributing to that. And just while working on that, I was like, hey, there's all these covers that we love, let's record them. And he wanted to make an album of covers, and he did. So really the bulk of the album was made by, of course, David. And sorry, I have the brain fog, and every time I'm about to say a name, it disappears for about 10 seconds out of my head. It's the COVID brain fog that you hear so much about.
Yeah. We all had that.
Yeah, we caught it early on.
But some of the players on our, is that Portnoy and Jeff Scott and all those guys?
Oh, in what?
And who are some of the players on this record, on the Ellison record? I'm sorry.
Oh my God, so many. I need a list. I'll have to ramble off a list because there's so many people on there. Amazing people.
How rad is it that you're able to connect with all of your, not only your friends and family in this world, but obviously new musicians, and what I've just heard in the past 5 minutes is you tell me that you're basically the queen spider building a huge entire connection of webs through what we all love to do, and you're actually influencing other people to participate. And then you get to make music with your friends. You're I think you win lockdown, actually.
I mean, honestly, everyone is doing this. It's not just me. Musicians everywhere there are so many people that are playing together that normally wouldn't get to because this one's on tour, and when they're not, this one's on tour. And when he's not, this one's on tour. And nobody can connect. Now we're all in one solid place, each of us. And we could do all of these things that normally could not happen. So that's the one, I don't know if you call anything plus to this, but one of the positive side effects, I guess you can say, is that all these musicians get to do something together, get to be creative together, get to make our little quarantine videos together and all those different things. And that wouldn't be happening if we all didn't have the rug pulled out and had to be in the studio and in one place for a long enough time that we can get the momentum to be creative.
Yeah, it's definitely the stay creative was basically the thing that was going to help a lot of people fight their boredom. Now, let me ask you, with this, you guys took this on the road for a little bit, right?
We did. We actually, crazily enough, we toured a lot in November. We toured we did 2 shows in Texas, 1 in Louisiana. We played in Chicago on the night of the day that the state went into full lockdown.
Wow.
So I figured the show would get canceled, but it didn't. And played in Indiana. We did 2 shows in Wisconsin. Actually, 2 shows in Illinois. And just super careful. I kept my vocal microphone inside this jacket, inside pocket, where it doesn't touch any air other than my own. That sounds weird. But only I touch this mic, and I put it on for sound check. I take it off. I put it on for the show. I take it off. I sang, and I did the whole show with a mask on. I sang with a mask on. Anytime, if I was in any contact with anyone, I would pull out and think it's still in my pocket. No, Where is it? It's in there. It's in my bag. But my sanitizer and just really was very strict about the rules. And did okay. And everyone in the band did okay. Nobody got it. And everyone tested negative. So yeah, I would do all my shows like this. Like looking like a fucking bank robber.
Yeah, you look straight up like I'm gonna go ahead and turn and walk around this dark alley. I'm not gonna go down there.
It's like I'm about to rob a train in the 1800s.
You're loading out guitars and it just looks like you're stealing shit.
Hey,
when you're in Chicago, I gotta ask though, when you're in Chicago and that was the night, right? Did you guys prep yourself? Did you you were already on the road doing these shows when everything came to fruition, I would assume, right? And then you're in Chicago and they shut down. Do you like recall like a sense of fear or vibes that were just kind of like, this is going to get really weird? Did the show suffer at all? Any of those sort of things?
Oh, of course. I mean, to be doing shows during a pandemic is very risky. You don't want to be the cause of this thing spreading even more. You do your part. That's all we can do, is our own part, and follow the rules. And we just ask that everybody does that.
Yeah. I mean, it was so early on too. Like at that point, you're talking about March. So nobody knows what's going to come.
No.
Shit.
This is the last month.
I'm thinking like, when you said shut down in Chicago, I was like, oh, he was like there the day they're like,
shut down.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's kind of cool that you got to play. I didn't even know that was a thing. That's so cool. I was thinking in my brain, dude, I'm so sorry. I got the COVID fog myself. I was thinking he was on the road when this came. Holy crap.
It was the first time too. I have been, so all right, we could begin in South Africa, where I was in October, where I got deathly ill with something, who knows what it probably was, but it lasted 7 weeks and it was brutal. I thought it was the flu, and from there I went to Eastern Canada and did shows, and I didn't even have a voice. It's crazy. I couldn't sing. So I would play things instrumentally, and then in order to talk to the audience, I got an app where I could type things in and it would speak what I typed in Stephen Hawking's voice.
How did you say Stephen Hawking?
And so I was telling the story of how I caught, something really bad from getting a little too friendly with a penguin in South Africa. And it was actually kind of half true. But from there, then I went to Korea and China. And while in China last November of 2019, they started getting reports of people getting sick from some kind of thing, from something they ate. From there, I went to Indonesia and Vietnam, and then home for a little bit, and then did the January 2000, well, actually in the very beginning, starting January 3rd, I was doing some solo shows. Then Sons of Apollo started touring for our new album, 2020. And we played in late January into early February around the US. And then a few weeks off, and we went to Europe. And just as things were blowing up there, we had 20 dates to do, and we got about 4 shows in, and then things were shutting down. And I was like, even if we wanted to do this, we're not going to be able to. And we put all our stuff in storage in Germany, and flew home as it was like watching like the gates close behind us. and it was strange because in the beginning, as we started canceling, there were a lot of places that were unaffected yet. And they were like, we don't have any cases here. You shouldn't be canceling, blah, blah, blah. And a week later, those countries were shut down, and it was really getting bad. And so we got out. There were some other bands we know that were also on tour at the same time that did come home with the virus, and some of them got very sick. Fortunately, they all survived. And that's it. And then that was it. And
but you got to go home. You weren't stuck over there or anything like that. They didn't keep you in. Oh, wow, that's great.
No, we got home before that anything like that was happening.
And you're like a true like badass.
We
swinging double-edged bastard swords to that shit early on.
Pretty much a week before U.S. shut down. We got it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you were internationally like seeing it, the first little spikes of it. That's got to be quite, quite the game of telephone back home when those things are going on, and seeing it firsthand, and when things are actually shutting down, not necessarily what the virus was turning into, but like, oh, this is coming, and like it's almost like you're watching the waves just come into the shore. That's crazy.
Yeah. Hey, Ron,
Wow.
with regards to the shows you guys did play with Ellison during this last November run, what was your take on the audience and the way everything was set up, and just trying to connect with the audience in such a interesting, I guess, paradigm?
Well, for those that were following the rules, is very appreciated. I'll say that much. I'm not gonna bash people who weren't wearing masks,
sure,
or anything like that. But I can say I was surprised that as many people were at these shows as there were. That's for sure.
Yeah, anything to feel normal. Going to a show, regardless of the restrictions, feels somewhat normal.
Yeah.
And but let's circle back real quick, if you don't mind. I'd love to go back to the beginning of January with the new Sons of Apollo record.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you guys dropped this thing. Obviously, it took off, hit Billboard, and top of the charts there. And then, what's it like then to say, hey, we have this new project and you need to go right on the road? And is this something you're going to look back and maybe 2021, if something opens up for you guys, or maybe 2022 to kind of revisit it and continue that tour?
Yeah,
you guys
we
going to look
have
at material?
that tour that we were doing. We pushed to June, which didn't happen, to October, which didn't happen. So now it is rescheduled for May and June of 2021. And I just hope that the world is in a place where it can happen.
Yeah. Have you done a question for you on that? Have you heard or done any of the like pod shows or drive-in shows? Are those on the docket for like, if these can't be in-person regular concerts, with this tour coming up in May?
I don't know. Like, are we gonna all be, blowing the plastic bubble type stuff? And,
Sure. Yeah. Wayne Coyne in it.
Yeah.
I just was curious if they were like already thinking about, because you do have the shows pinned, and like, maybe they're just like going to switch it from inside to outside or what. It's crazy to think about, but
I guess that's up to the promoters if they want to switch the venues to outdoor venues, and I guess we just have to roll with it and
sure,
see how it goes. I can't predict a thing at this point. I said at the very beginning, it's like, I'm not making any plans. I'm just, whatever happens, just got to roll with it, and just
buckle up.
For how did Sons of Apollo come together? I know you've probably told this story a few times, but for a lot of people who are uninitiated with who this band is and the players in it, it's everyone's a monster player at their position, as you could say. How did you guys come together, and what's like to gel with that kind of unit of players? I mean, from what, Portnoy, who else?
Mike Portnoy on drums.
Billy Sheehan
on bass. Jeff Scott Soto on vocals, Derek Sherinian on keyboards. Yeah. And somehow they let me sneak on stage and play with them. There's a history with everybody in the band in some way. I used to do NAMM jams with Billy and Mike and sometimes Billy and Ray Luzier. And I've done Metal Allegiance with Mike, and we went on tour for a week doing that. A lot of different things. In 2013, me, Mike, and Billy were the house band for an Eddie Trunk big event in New York, where we were the house band, and guys from Anthrax, guys from Kiss, all different people, Tony Harnell, everybody was joining us on stage. So we've done a lot of things. I laid guitar tracks for an album that Billy was producing a few years ago for Madame Mayhem. She's phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
And things like that. And then in 2014, Progressive Nation at Sea music cruise, that it was Mike, Billy, Derek, and Tony McAlpine on guitar, and I joined them for some jamming. And I remember when we finished, Derek said to me, "We should form a band," which is basically that.
Yeah.
But Mike and I had always talked about doing something together, and Mike hit me up early 2017, said, hey, you know how we always talk about doing a band together? Well, me and Derek have this idea of doing this thing, and, you know, what our dream team, you know, would be, you know, the two of us with Billy on bass, you on guitar, and Jeff Scott Soto on vocals. I was like, let's do it. And we did it. And we got into the studio. We started writing where me and Derek, we would just come up with little riffs in our home studios and send it to this little me, Mike, and Derek, this little thread. And we would just keep bouncing ideas so that we had a starting point when we would get together. And we got together, and Billy got off tour and joined us halfway through. And then when Jeff got off tour, he started writing vocals to it, and we banged it out, put it together, put out the first album, and then toured a lot in 2018. And towards the end of it, started writing for this new album, and just worked on it throughout 2019 while we all did everything else that we do. We did a ton of solo stuff. The band Asia, did a tour with them, which originally we talked about doing that in 2017, but I was so busy with all these other things going on. So yeah, and then we got it out in 2020, and here we are, 2020.
Well, it's such a unique project because you guys treat it as it's just a band. Like, hey, we record, we go on tour. I mean, because a lot of these projects, they're just an album, and that was fun, guys. We'll circle back at some point, but you treat it like, hey, album tour cycle. So very unique for a band of that stature. Obviously, you had Art of Anarchy. Is that something still that you guys are working on, or is that project kind of like, you know, do you feel like something?
That one is on hiatus. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that one has had a lot of difficulties. It's been a rough road, that one.
Yeah, sure. Again, you got some superstar players in that band, all really good. But yeah, I can imagine at some point you're gonna run into these things. A lot of different things going on. I gotta ask, the Asia thing.
Yeah, Asia.
I mean, that band obviously has been through a lot of iterations, and obviously with losing John Wetton and things like that. But how did you come to be a member of Asia?
So there was this sort of just like fun band that was Carmine Appice on drums, Rudy Sarzo on bass, Jeff Downs from Asia, and yes, on keys, Phil Narrow from Talus, Billy Sheehan's band, on vocals, and I was on guitar, and Gene Cornish from the Rascals was on guitar. Like two totally different types of guitar players, and we were like two peas in a pod. It was great. I love that guy. So we did a show in Toronto and one in Chicago in 2016, October of 2016, where we just played a bunch of music from all our backgrounds, and it was so much fun. And after that, the guy who put it together, he asked me about doing Asia, and he said in 2017 there's a tour they're going to be opening for Journey, and would love to have you on guitar for it. And I was just so busy with my solo stuff, Art of Anarchy, Sons of Apollo, and just so much stuff, the hot sauce business. And I just told him, like,
which we'll get to, definitely.
There was just too much going on. So, and sadly, John Wetton passed right before that tour happened, and Billy Sherwood took over from Yes on bass and vocals, and was able to carry the torch very well.
Yeah.
So that was that, and then in 2019, he hit me up again, saying, "Look, we got this tour. We're opening for Yes. It's going to be a really cool thing, and we'd love to have you on guitar for that." And that was free. I was like, "Let's do it." And there was going to be another singer that was going to be doing it, and then he wasn't going to be able to do it. So they all said, "Hey, have Bumble do it. Let him sing."
That's some big shoes to fill with John Wetton's voice.
The thing is, I sort of made a vow to myself. I am no longer going to be that guy that fills other shoes. It's just, it's not who that's not me. I'm the kind of person that starts a band, founding member, writes together as a team with the guys, and like what Sons of Apollo is, that kind of thing. That's me. So I said yes.
Why not?
And here I am now filling his shoes. So
Can I ask you, just because with the Yes and Asia tour, was oh God, who's the guitar
Hal?
player? Yeah, is Hal not playing for Asia?
Well, that's the thing is, Steve Howe was going to come out for the last 4 songs, the big hits, and join us for that. So that was the plan.
Okay.
I was like, oh, cool. Get to play with Steve Howe. I get to see Yes, like, you know, one of my favorite bands ever. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I started learning all the Steve Howe guitar parts, started going back to the old guitar magazine, seeing what gear he used on the album, and really getting it all down, everything. Just wanted to do it right. And then for the vocals, it's like, all right, I am not that kind of singer. I'm more of a, you know, that kind of singer. So, you know, someone that have to sing like someone that's totally different, you know. I never meant to be so bad to you. Yeah. And it's a totally different way of doing things. The way I always sang, and the singers that, you know, the old school metal high-pitched guys, you know, Tony Harnell, Rob Halford, Dickinson, all those guys. So they are very open, bright, vibrato, that kind of thing, high range. And John Wetton is almost the opposite of that. Rarely vibrato. He would just shoot for the note and nail it, and just dead on. And the tone of his voice was this more of a chesty, breathy kind of thing. And yet with almost like speaking French, where you have to go like, oh, this open nasal thing you have to have with it where it resonates there. So, and what's even trickier is that he's not opening up on the all those things. He's opening up on the things that are usually more closed. Those kind of things. So I basically spent 2 months relearning how to sing. And I spent 2 months, 8 hours a day, just analyzing and practicing and trying to change the default go-to mechanism in my brain of what to tense and what to relax and everything, to build new habits, so that when I get up there and there's, you know, thousands of people staring at me, I don't suddenly break into and do that and do it the right way. Because I realized when I started watching a lot of videos of the band, I really did my homework, going back to their first tours, you know, in '82 and up to everything, up to recent things. And I noticed that it's so important to sing the songs the right way. If you sing with the wrong tone, it's the same as changing the words or changing the melody. People are going to listen to it and say, that's not how I remember it. That's not the way I loved the song. That's not taking me back to those days. It's not making me feel nostalgic. And that was what I needed to do for this, for those people that were coming to the show. I needed them to feel like they were, you know, reliving 1982 when the album came out and all those songs. And I needed to make sure that the tone of my voice matched. So I spent 2 months of just 8 hours a day. And the first month was pretty scary. I just couldn't find it. And then it suddenly clicked and I got it. And then just worked it. And besides doing that vocally, getting down the guitar parts of another person that's anchoring down in different places than the vocals are. You know, the vocals were made for the guy playing bass, where, you know, it's in your eyes, no disguising it, you know, where it matches, not, you know, no disguising it. And really comes as no surprise, where you're like hitting in different upbeats and things like that. So practicing that, where I have to sort of get the two things together, you know, in even the simplest things that seem like simple songs, you know, don't cry now that I have found you, don't cry, take a look around. But then when you have the next part, do what you want, bring it down, please don't cry. But the guitars go, do what you want, bring it down, please don't cry. And as you're doing it slowly, a lot of the notes are like major seconds and things that normally wouldn't harmonize. Do what you want, please don't cry. So getting that down, getting comfortable with that, and with my left foot, I have to change all the guitar patches for the different sounds, and with my right foot, do all the vocal effects with a vocal thing, because we were also doing, you know, a lot of background stuff from the guys. We were doing, what do you call it? COVID fog. The Buggles. Okay, video killed the radio star.
Oh yeah. Oh.
It takes exactly 10 seconds for me to get the word out of my mouth. Like it's the side effect. So we did that. We did Video Killed the Radio Star because Jeff Downs, that's his.
Yes.
So I had to sing.
The Buggles. Man.
So what I had to do for that song is I had a megaphone. So you have the vocal. I'm holding.
Did somebody at least hold it for you, dude?
And then change my vocal setting to a doubler and take this away and sing like the female backing vocalist and do that.
Yeah.
Do that. And then put this down and switch to a megaphone sound on my right foot gear and do let's see the sound of your second symphony with one hand. New technology. Actually, I'm still holding the megaphone, I think. So I have to play the guitar part with one hand. So going, technology, you can see, and then switch, and then switch back. Let the children, tell them, and then another setting where I come in with the guitar, where I set a harmonizer to do video kill the radio, to hit those harmonies while I'm going video kill the radio star, and then switch it back to in my mind please don't do more, and then switch to the fretless neck and go so like constant switching, left foot, right foot, next type of singing and everything, and just nailing that down and try to make it look seamless and comfortable.
Like
so
you're not Beaker.
I see a guy up there like going like,
Yeah.
Which in my head, that's what I'm doing. But
Yeah.
on the outside, it's like, yeah. So yeah.
Wow. Can I ask you something, a question? Are you ambidextrous at all? Like, is that your thing? Like, how is your right brain and left brain doing those things? Do you have to practice this? Is this like I mean, you say that you practice it, but what does that really mean? What, I mean,
no, you got to practice it. It's something you got to practice. Like, I can't write my name with my left hand. I can't flip this around and play, none of that. It's something you just got to practice.
So you're legit firing right and left brain on your. Is there any like sort of like Hoff breathing exercises or anything that you're doing to like open up this area of like memory? Essentially, the muscle memory is not there. So besides training yourself, there's still got to be a sort of like a resonance in your brain to take in the information, right?
You always have to be thinking ahead. It's like you have to already have done it in your head before you do it. So it's sort of like a buffer in a computer memory, same kind of thing. Stuff filters in as it does, and then it's there, it's sorted, and then it spits out the stream the way it's supposed to. So I've actually, when I teach, there's a lot of exercises I do to help practice thinking ahead. So that is something that when I'm teaching or doing guitar clinics or whatever it is, doing music camps, stuff like that, one thing that is very important to focus on is that aspect, because music happens before you ever touch this, before you sing a note, before, like the same way as we're speaking right now. The ideas are already there, and the feeling that we have and what we want to say is already there. And then it comes out our mouth. It's not like our mouth is making the words and the ideas and everything. No, it leaves you there. It's the same thing with this. The music leaves you at your hands or at your voice or at your hands and feet or whatever it is. So exercising the source of it and getting that prepped for everything you need to do and starting to back it up even more so that you're prepping even more before what has to happen.
So outside of music, then, do you do tasks in your daily meanderings that like help guide that process along, like making coffee or whatever it is? Is this like a consistent version of like how you live your life? You know, it sounds like really impressive, right? When that you're saying you practice, but I have to imagine that as much as you practice and as much as somebody else practice, you just have created a pathway, neural pathways inside of your mind that'll allow you to move quicker in those
Well,
decisive decisions. You're like AI, dude.
no, I mean, honestly, everybody does this. You know, every time you drive a car, you're doing it.
Sure.
Think about it. You know, you're checking the mirrors, you're looking at your speed, you know where you need to go, you're turning the wheel, you have the gas and the brake, like you're doing all of that. So we do that. It's just practicing it in a different aspect of life.
Yeah. It's really about the commitment at that point, right? I mean, where you're setting yourself. Yeah.
Focus, dedication, practice, all of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to talk about for a second, you mentioned it when you're trying to learn the Asia songs and you've got those people in the audience going, that's not how I remember it. I'm nostalgic. The problem, you've got like heat of the moment. It's like an iconic, like cultural pivot of a song for a lot of people, because that kind of sums up the early 80s for a lot of people, is that track. So I imagine just serving the song is all you really need to do. Because it seems like when you guys are on the road with Journey, I'm sure you and Arnell could probably think, you know what, this is about the songs. It's not about the personas. It's just about serving these songs for these people, because those bands weren't like face bands, you know, they were about the songs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As long as the song sounds like the song, that's the most important thing. And that comes first. The song comes first, always.
Yeah.
So with Asia, that was my intention, to make sure that this sounds, no matter what, I'm going to sound like me. I can't escape it no matter how hard I try. But at least, you know, try. Yeah. So
yeah.
I made the most valiant effort I could to try and deliver the songs in a way that would make people feel nostalgic. And from the response I got, a lot of people said that I pulled it off. So I'm happy. You know, yeah.
Yeah, and listen, John Wetton wouldn't have sounded like the John Wetton at 82 if he was singing it in 2017. That's just the age process. So in a lot of ways, you can actually kind of take people back, because your voice is going to be a little younger, a little bit more, you know, more maybe within the frame of what they recall. So it probably worked out really well for you. Yeah, that's a fantastic story, by the way. So thank you so much. That was a lot, but it was great. What a great process you went through to get it. And the musicians listening to what you were saying and must be just going, I got to do my homework, man.
I was like, no.
You only have to be good enough to play. The thing is, you only have to be good enough to play whatever song you're playing. So if you're going to be going, you know, just as long as you're in the pocket and playing it with the right attitude, you're kicking ass and you're playing well. Yeah, that's what it boils down to. Whatever song you're playing, just be able to play it well and comfortably, and that's it. So that was my, I took on a big, a big task. Heat of the moment, telling me what your heart needs. Yeah, it's you know, yeah. But practice, just practice.
So then with all of this going on, right, we just went through like a mirage of this incredible, like 2 years, essentially, not to mention all of the other stuff past 2018 and what you have going on in the future. How do you find time to not only produce other acts like the Doties, but also to find the acts like the Doties, who they're from the desert of Israel, right? Is that what I
They're from the southern desert of Israel. They're an amazing band.
I listened. They're incredible. You did a great job.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. Yeah, it's like, how do you even describe it? Like it reminds me of Nirvana and Radiohead, and a little maybe
very ethereal.
And yeah, so it's just really good, just noisy, gritty, but they are so talented. They are so good. And the songs are just so musical and deep and just phenomenal. The singer, he's definitely like that tortured soul of an artist. and he's a great singer and great songwriter. So he sings, plays guitar. The drummer is a great drummer. And for most of the songs, most of the time in the songs, he's playing with just one arm and playing the bass on a synth with his left hand without even looking, and singing backing vocals, and he grooves. We did that whole album, no click track, no auto-tune, no anything, just the two of them looking at each other playing. And fantastic. And the songs are so good. And the latest video they made, that song Alien, they drew all the pictures and spent months making that video themselves. And it's so good. Yeah, everybody check out the Dodies, Dodies. Great stuff. I got to get them to the US to do some shows.
Did you do the record in Israel?
Yeah. What we did is, so I flew out. Yeah, I flew out because, money is an issue. So, they could have had 2 plane tickets coming to the US, had to get visas, had to get hotel rooms, had to rent a studio. Instead, I flew out there. I crashed out at the drummer's house, and we spent a couple of days just organizing the songs and everything. They already had it down. They were good to go with that. So we started doing things like prepping. I told them, what happens after the album is done? We have to get all this stuff ready. So I got them registered with the performance rights organization, to collect publishing and all of that kind of stuff, and made sure that the logo and getting just web ideas and organizing all of their social media so that it has the Dodies band for everything. And it's not like one is Dodies Music, the other is the Dodies, the other is the _ Dodies, just make it so that you just look up the Dodies band and you'll find them anywhere. Little things like that, the little details. So prepped all of that stuff. And then we went into a local studio and in 3 days banged out all the music. And then I had brought with me an interface and some vocal mics. And we did, for the next 3 or 4 days, all the vocals and any tambourine and shakers and stuff like that right in the drummer's house. And from there, spend a good day and a half just organizing files and making sure everything was neat and right and good to go. File management is so important with this stuff. And then went back home and started mixing the stuff. We both work on Cubase. That's our multi-track system that we use. So I can send them stuff and they can add all their ideas. So they were doing that too. It was really, they were co-producing. And all ideas for reverbs and things like that and everything, they put those in, sent it back to me. And then I mixed vocals and got those sounding right. There's a certain thing I like to do that creates a sheen on top so that the vocals will always sit in their own bandwidth in the high register above the music, and they don't even have to be as loud. You just always feel that breathy air in the vocals. So just doing all those kind of treatments sound-wise and getting everything good to go. And we kept tossing mixes back and forth and getting it right. And then I started obsessing over the mastering and doing all of that and getting that right and just making it sound loud and nasty and not too scooped, actually kind of like mid-rangey, like you're at a gig and just very in the face and sort of a vinyl, warm, low mid-tone to it all in there. And that's it. And then we put it out. Yeah.
Man, you're not just a producer, you're like you're the whole kit and caboodle going in there and making sure that they're going to release proper. That's great, man. Kudos to you. That's like next level shit. No producer's ever done that for my band. So thank you for doing it.
And then sad, I wanted to get them on tour, but COVID happened. So hopefully next year I could get them out to the US and start doing some shows. Yeah. And help with that too. I like to help bands. I like to help people do what they're doing, Incredible.
Do you find a band like that? I mean, what's the hunger and inspiration of a band that you find out in the desert of Israel? What is that like?
It's the same as here. I have worked with bands from Dubai, from every part of the world you can imagine. Yeah, everywhere, and it's all the same. I've been to, trying to think of some places. Yeah, in Pakistan a couple of years ago, doing shows out there, and you know what you find out there? A bunch of long-haired kids wearing Iron Maiden t-shirts, jamming to Metallica. And then from there, you go to France. And you know what you find there? a lot of long-haired kids in Iron Maiden t-shirts jamming to Metallica. And then you go to Bahrain, and what do you find there? Long-haired kids wearing Iron Maiden t-shirts jamming to Metallica. The world is not so different. When it comes to music, we are so the same. And that's the greatest gift of traveling, especially going to the uncommon places that you might not normally tour. You know, I do a lot of work with the government, the State Department, where different embassies bring me over, and we do these, I guess you can call them cross-cultural musical programs with local musicians and things. Mm-hmm. And it's the same everywhere. Music is so universal and united. There is no difference between any of us when it comes to music.
Yeah, especially in the hard rock and metal thing. That's always, you know, we're still kind of seen as an outsider thing. So I can imagine people's perception of Bahrain is they think that everyone is like, you know, so hard line, everything. But when you go and you see that, you're right, you see those kids in Topeka, Kansas, the long-haired kids with the Maiden shirts on. It's amazing.
Yeah, wherever you go in the world, it's the same. People have the same spirit and the same loves and the same bonds. Yeah. And all the crap on the exterior that divides us, or the manipulative things that try to divide us for agendas, that you strip that away. And, you know, music is the opposite of that. It is. And it's wonderful to get out into the world and to have experienced that. You know, if I die tomorrow, I will die knowing that the world is actually not as fucked up as we think it is. And
it's a pretty good place.
Hell. You know, if you watch the news and you watch, you know, it's such bullshit. That's not reality. That is a tiny little blip of the picture. You know what the world is? A bunch of long-haired kids wearing Iron Maiden shirts jamming to Metallica.
God bless.
Loving hot sauce, right? Do they all love hot sauce too?
Yeah. Can we speak about the opposite of music? Can we talk about your hot sauce thing? This is fascinating.
Well, actually,
having a parking lot with the hot sauce. That's great.
Hot sauce is not the opposite of music, because hot sauce is actually the heavy metal of food. I will explain. So
I got to hear this.
You notice how a lot of rock and metal musicians love hot sauce, and they even start making hot sauce. And I thought about that. I was like, what is the appeal? Well, first of all, no music will get you as riled up and as crazy and as worked up as metal. None. There is no music as intense as metal. Nothing. So for people that love metal, love rock, and that want to play it and share it and create it and give people that same experience, for those people out there that want to give people the most intense experience they can have through music, they tend to live that way. They want to give everyone the most intense experience they can in whatever they do. So when it comes to food, nothing can be as sour, as bitter, as salty, as sweet, as umami, as anything as hot sauce is hot. Nothing, no food will leave you where your nose is running, your eyes are tearing, you're sweating, you can't breathe, you're screaming, you're trying to chug milk for like a half hour. Nothing will give you that intense of an experience as capsaicin molecules can. So I love hot sauce. I love spicy food. I always, since the age of 12, since someone dared me to eat my first hot pepper, and I did, and I loved it. So that's been a love of mine. So it finally, the same way when you love music, finally reaches a point that you want to start playing music, and you want to start making music, and you want to start sharing music the same way it was shared with you. You want to make people feel as good as music made you feel. Well, I want to make people hurt as much as they made me feel with hot sauce. So,
I was going to say, man, heavy metal doesn't make me cry. Hot sauce does.
Well, it makes you want to scream. It makes you want to elbow people in the face.
Absolutely. So it's either hot sauce or coffee. So there you go.
So, and you have like multiple flavors now, right?
Yeah.
So in 2012, I started looking even before that for a company that I could connect with to start making hot sauce with, to do this for real. And then a company called K-John's out in Columbus, Ohio. I connected with them. And I remember I was doing the residency with Guns N' Roses in Vegas in 2012. And in between shows, flew out to Ohio and got in the kitchen with them and went to the supermarket because we were trying to add the idea for blueberries in my Bumblicious hot sauce, but it just wasn't popping enough. Once you cook them, they got too mellow. So they said, hey, let's try sour cherries. And we tried that and that worked. And they were just, they knew how to make it happen and they made it happen. So I came with a bunch of ideas and they brought it to life and more, and their own ideas and everything. And it was fantastic. So we rolled out a line of 6 sauces, of which 3 of them had won first place prizes in their categories at, I guess, what you could call the NAMM show of hot food. It's called Zest Fest in Dallas, Texas in January. It's basically the NAMM of spicy food. And I got 3 first place awards in my line of sauces. And then in 2019, K-John sold the company and said, all right, I'm gonna have to really put together my own food company. And I got a manufacturer, I got the bottler, I got the distributor, and started getting resellers. And now I have in Norway, in Germany, in the UK, in Australia, of course, the US, the main one, and relaunched the sauces the end of last year. And again, 2 of the sauces that I put out, Bumblicious and the sauce, first place awards in their categories in Zest Fest in 2020. So I have 2 sauces that are both 2-time first place award-winning sauces they are. So let me tell you about my sauces. So I wanted to make a sauce that goes with everything, something that goes with Mexican food and even Italian food, because not all sauces do. Italian is specific. You need oregano. There's a certain Mediterranean thing going on that it needs to be able to work with. So Greek food, Italian food, Mexican food, Thai food, Lebanese food, Korean food, things like kimchi, where it's using like that real red peppery thing, everything. So the sauce is that. It's all-purpose sauce that goes great on your eggs in the morning. It goes great on every kind of food you want to have it with. Something that you would keep on the table all the time and use for everything. So that's the sauce, a mild, tasty sauce. And that's it, the sauce. In fact, the person that came up with the name for that, because I was so stumped on the name, I was just like, everything sauce. No, this sauce, that sauce. All-purpose table sauce. Nah, too clinical. And then, okay, do you know Arthur Brown? Do you know who that is?
Crazy World
In the
Arthur
late
Brown?
60s, I am the god of hellfire.
Yeah.
Bring you fire. So, he was on that Yes Asia tour with us. And yeah, he's amazing. So full of energy, and he would paint up his face just like, he always did. And just fantastic. So his son was at one of the shows, and we were hanging out and talking about hot sauces and diet and exercise and this and that and just everything. And he said, why don't you just call it the sauce? I'm like, you know what? Yeah. So Arthur Brown's son came up with that idea for the sauce. And then
That's
the
incredible.
other one I had is this zesty, mild, but nice little peppery kick of a barbecue type of hot sauce. It has cherry, bourbon, chipotle, and literally people drink this sauce. I've had people drink it because they like it that much. It is a really tasty sauce. And that one is called Bumblicious. So,
Okay.
now the hottest one, okay, are you familiar with the show Hot Ones?
Just was going to ask you, are we going to go on Hot Ones with? Are you going on Hot Ones with this?
I wish I would
Is
love
that
to.
the thing? Is that the documentary about those people that are eating all the ghost peppers and everything like that? Is that the
Well,
one?
Hot Ones it's like a online series where different people are eating spicy wings with hotter and hotter sauces on them while they're being interviewed. So Hot Ones, the people that make that show, they have a blog called First We Feast, and they named the 10 hottest sauces in the world And my hottest sauce, my third sauce, they listed as, I believe, #3 on that list of the world's hottest sauce.
What?
And this sauce is really brutally, painfully hot, literally a dot, just a dot with your food, and you'll be burning up. This is serious chemistry going on.
Yeah.
And this sauce is called Bumblefucked. It's the name of that sauce.
Of course it is.
And I would say for a full plate of food, if you want to be on fire, just a drop is all it takes. And your plate, your entire plate of whatever it is, your mountain of food will be lit up, and you will feel it for a good long time.
You will be in the back of an ambulance. So when they put you,
Hey,
when
Ron,
they put you on the show, sorry, I just wanted to ask, did anybody try it on the hot ones? Is there like an episode where, like, you know, they go through the entire sauce thing?
I don't think they did, but there are a lot of people on YouTube that have tried it and filmed themselves.
Incredible.
And so
I'm gonna find those.
The bottle art has this guy that is like tongue is like sticking out and a nuclear bomb going off in his head and his eyes popping out and like completely exploding like that. So there's a company that made an app, an Instagram app that imitates that. So I have a Bumblefucked Instagram app where you look into it, and if you open your mouth, your eyes pop out, a nuclear bomb goes off. And yeah. So people should go to Bumblefoot's Hot Sauce on Instagram, and you can get the app there. It's a free app. Yeah. And it's pretty fun to just, yeah.
I was going to say,
I'm looking for it right now.
If you get a chance, Netflix has a show on called We Are the Champions. It's a documentary show.
Yes, episode #2.
Chili eating. Yeah, that was cruel.
So yeah. Johnny Scoville, the guy with the beard like mine.
Yeah.
Usually braided. And yeah, he did a review of my sauce on there. And now the guy, Ed Curry, he's the inventor.
Yes.
There it is.
There it is.
Yeah.
That is Bumble-effed. That is the stuff.
All right. Very good.
Wow.
Thanks,
So yeah,
Chad.
so now Ed Curry, he's the inventor of the Carolina Reaper, and he is a mad scientist, a genius when it comes to creating hybrids and the nutrients in the soil that bring out certain properties. So every Christmas, I go down to North Carolina to see my in-laws, and then we drive 45 minutes down day after Christmas or 2 days after, and I meet up with Ed Curry and his family, and we have lunch together, and then we go back to his place, and he shows me all the new peppers he's working on, and he just loads me up with bottles of hot sauce, and I keep telling him, no, stop it. And I have a crate of hot sauce that I have to bring back with me that I just spend the rest of the year until the following Christmas just putting on everything. He is a wonderful
just sleeping
guy.
in the bathroom.
But he is truly a wonderful guy. Yeah, the hot sauce subculture is full of really, really cool people. Yeah.
Yeah. It's incredible. I love watching you. Like, for anybody who's not watching this, go to the YouTube channel and watch Bumblefoot get jacked on hot sauce. It's like him playing guitar, but we're talking about hot sauce. You're an incredibly enthusiastic person. Now I'm going to try your Bumblefucked tonight. I'm going to find out where I can get it and order it, because I just want to know what it's like, you know, to be in pain.
I do want the video of that, by the way. So yeah,
I'll send it to you.
Just a drop at most.
Thank you.
Seriously, it's perfectly set up, the sauce, where when you first touch it to your tongue, you first taste it, everything it touches tingles like Novocaine, like your lips, your gums, your tongue. And then count to 10 seconds exactly. And then after exactly 10 seconds, you suddenly feel this sense of heat, as if like you opened an oven door, only it's in the back of your throat. You feel this heat go like that. And then after about a minute, slowly this, like your whole body's like that, and your torso is just, feels like it's on just like in an oven, and everybody has the same look and the same walk. They like do this like stiff-armed walk, and they're just going.
Oh my God.
When that happens,
Like
they usually
astronauts?
say, yeah, and then they say, I just got bumblefucked.
Wow.
There you go. Well,
And
listen.
surprisingly, that sauce is the best seller. It is.
It's got to be.
Absolutely, yeah. If you're gonna do it, just dig in and just go the whole 9 yards. Speaking of the whole 9 yards, Bumblefoot, we've had you for like an hour, man. And listen, I know we could probably keep you for another 2 because these stories are amazing, and there's just so much we would love to definitely do a part 2 with you at some point because there's so much more we want to cover with you.
Cool.
And I think for right now, though, tell you what, let's remember to let everyone know Planetary Lockdown. Go check that out on YouTube. It seems like a really extraordinary event that took place that Ron was in charge of. Also, check out the new Ellison record, new Sons of Apollo record. Check out his Bumblefoot sauces. And you can find those at United Sauces. Is that right? UnitedSauces.com, Chad? Is that where
Yeah, you can, if you want to find all over the world, you can go to my Instagram, and in the bio, you click on the link, and then it says, you know, to get them from Germany, to get them from Norway, to get them from Australia, all of that stuff. But in the US, I do have little short links, like bit.ly links. So if you do bit.ly hyphen, and then BF, like Bumblefoot, BF sauce. And that'll take you to the US one. Then I have all different ones, but yeah, you got that.
Google it and you guys will find it at some place. And also check out this new band he's produced, the Doties. Is it Doties?
The Doties.
Yeah, out of Israel. So that sounds like really interesting. If you guys kind of like more of a garage rock, maybe Radiohead type stuff, that might be something you want to check out. Listen, guys, don't forget to subscribe to Making Waves. And if you like what you're hearing, please rate and review and tell your friends. Listen, on behalf of myself, Justin, and obviously our co-host, Chad, and all of us here at Ask for Entertainment, including our engineer, Jennifer Zito, our show coordinator, Heather Smith, our producer, Al McManus, and of course, none other than nobody else but the captain, Alan Koenig. Remind you guys to rock hard and vacation harder. We're going to do another segment with you coming up real soon, Ron. So if you can hang tight with us. But again, everyone out there, thank you so much, and we appreciate your time.
Thanks for being here, man. You're the best.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right, so we'll give it a break. Okay, and we're going to go.
So we have these 3 questions, Ron. They're like one of them's a fan question, and then Justin and I. It's called Walk the Plank.
Cool.
And they're pretty interesting questions. And then after we do these 3 questions, we're just going to kind of close the show. Again, it's just like an extended version for like
what we want to first do, though, before we do that, is we'll reintroduce the show and tell them we want to talk to you real quick about, we want your ShipRocked experience, your take on the cruise.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously we'll do that. And then we'll go into those questions, and then we'll wrap it up. All right, so we're good. So we ready to start here in 3, 2, 1? Welcome, everyone, to Making Waves podcast. This is a special little section we call the Walking the Plank, where we ask our guests 3 questions, one from myself, one from our host, Chad, and then one from a fan that had written in. But prior to that, we want to definitely ask Bumblefoot his take on his ShipRocked experience. He's been with us several times, more than I can actually count, actually, with the Stowaways and some of the other projects we've done, and he's always been such an amazing person. I got to tell you real quick before you give yours, one of my favorite moments ever for ShipRocked was when you and our producer, Al McManus, kind of went toe-to-toe on your guitars with little solos back and forth. That was definitely a highlight because you obviously, you're iconic as far as a player, but Al happens to be one of my favorite guitar players in the world.
Oh, he's amazing. Yeah.
It's amazing. So that was a lot of fun for me, but we'll let Chad kind of bring up the whole ShipRocked experience thing with you.
Yeah. So I usually ask a simple question, and that question is simply, when you showed up for the first time. I'm assuming you probably have done cruises before the first time you did a ShipRocked cruise. So you're a little bit of a veteran in this area. So maybe it won't apply to you the same way, but I feel like the feeling will be the same. So when you're walking onto the gangway and you get into the ship's atrium area, and you know that you're on this thing, there's no turning back. What was the first thought that went through your head when you saw it all? Because of all the cruises that I've been on, I think that the ShipRock experience when you're walking on is probably the most overwhelming, like visceral, like, oh shit, this is about to happen type sort of thing. And then when you get into the atrium, I just want to know what was going through your mind the first time.
Oh, I remember vividly. Yes. And I believe my first thought was, what time does the buffet open?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was great. You know, you guys always pick beautiful ships, and the people that come to this thing, you know, I see it. It's like a family. I see. It's a great, great environment, and you know, of course, the first time you do it is like, all right, am I going to be harassed? Am I going to be, you know, am I going to be badgered? And like, are people going to be crossing the line? I should say, in ways. But no, not at all. Everybody is wonderful. Everyone's just normal. Everyone is normal. It's really cool, and I love it. And I remember after the first one, my first thought was like, when can we do this again? When can we do this again? I hope they want me back. Yeah, and the jams, like the stowaways itself, is just incredible. The groups that you put together of people is just phenomenal, and all the shows that happen, and yeah, it's nice to start making friends on there, and then you come back and you see those friends again, and you know, just that thing of, it's like, oh, you know, it's time again. Go, we're gonna see this person and this person and that, and just, you know, breakfast in the morning and someone you're at the table across and just chatting with them, and it's just so open and friendly. It's just very friendly. It's nice.
And then when you get off the ship and you're moving on to your next, sometimes you're going to continue moving on and doing a project, whether you're on tour or, you know, it's called tours coming up from, you know, a month after the ship ends. Do you happen to find those people showing up at those shows with their ShipRock swag, yelling ShipRock in the crowd and things like that?
You see that, yeah. You definitely see everything. Yeah, you'll see people from your shows at ShipRocked and people from ShipRocked at shows, and yeah, because the thing is, people that love music and love going to shows, they go. Yeah.
My favorite part about it, for me personally, is the follow-up the second year when you do it after the first time. And then I remember being like, oh, I don't know anybody. Everybody thinks I guess I'll just go eat worms. Everybody's, you know, it's like a family reunion. And then the second year, like, oh, I know everybody, you know, and you're giving high fives. That follow-up feeling that just continues to happen. It's like the gift that keeps on giving. And I just was curious as to what your feelings were when you came on, you know?
Yeah, and it keeps growing, that thing. Yeah, it's just, you know, you don't know what to expect the first time, but I keep an open mind about things I haven't experienced. I figured that all those blanks will get filled in by the end. So yeah.
That's a good way to think about it.
Yeah. Listen,
we love having you on the ship, man.
Before we get to the final three questions, the walk the plank questions, again, guys, if you don't forget to subscribe to Making Waves if you like what you're hearing, and please rate and review, and again, tell your friends. Also, new merch coming out for 2021. Obviously, we have leggings and jerseys out, if you guys have seen those on our Instagram, and very soon before Christmas we'll have the new hoodies out. But wow, right? So anyway, listen, let's get to walk the plank. If you guys are unfamiliar with this, basically we're going to ask our guest three questions. One is going to be from myself, one from Chad, and then one from a fan. So, Chad, you want to start off the questionnaire?
Absolutely. All right, Ron. My question is, if you were going yard sailing, and what would be the first thing that you would be looking for? You know, going to a garage sale. What would get you jacked up to find at a yard sale? 2020 yard sale.
A 2020 yard sale. Oh, what would I be looking for?
Or maybe if you saw it, you'd be like, oh shit, I've always wanted one of those. I can't believe it's in front of my face at this person's house right now.
I don't even know where to begin answering that. Let's see. So a yard sale, I'm picturing a yard sale. Driving, hey, look, someone's selling a bunch of stuff on the front yard. Let's go look.
I wouldn't normally stop, but now I'm gonna. Today I'm gonna stop and get out of my car.
Yeah, today's just that day where I'm gonna do something different. Yard sale. I would probably look and see if they had any vinyl That'd be the first
Okay.
thing. Look at some vinyl and see what they had. That would be, I guess, the first thing. It's probably a boring answer, but realistically, that would be the first thing I'd be curious about. Like, did I have vinyl? And I would check books, any old books, if they have.
What book would you be the most like pumped about finding there? Is there anything in your collection that you've been trying to fill that void for?
I have all kinds of weird books, I mean, about everything. When my uncle passed away when I was a kid, and he was storing a bunch of books at my grandmother's house, and it was pretty much, it was an entire wall of books. And I figured I would take some books, and I got through maybe one row of books, and I had like 3 boxes of things that I was just so fascinated about. He had a book on MC Escher. That's where I was like 10 years old and first discovered his art. You know, just loved it. Remember, he had a book called The Art of Asking Questions. Very interesting. There was one on an old book from like the 1800s on the Salem witch trials. Just like so many different things. He calculated statistics for New York City. He tabulated everything. So he was very mathematical. So he had a lot of books on math and things like that. Me, I always, since forever, I've been interested in astronomy. So anything relating to that and history. I love astronomy and history very much.
Oh, man.
And as I got older, more physics, a lot into that. I barely can scratch the surface of understanding it, but a lot of things, you know, when you get beyond the quarks and the leptons and the muons and you start getting into the really serious stuff, fascinating. Because there is a parallel between the world smaller than us and the world bigger than us. You know, we're kind of the little line in between in a way. Very much into philosophy, particularly Stoic philosophy. A lot of that I'm into. You know, Marcus Aurelius and Seneca and all those dudes. So that kind of stuff.
Interesting. I just picture you thumbing through an MC Escher book in broad daylight in somebody's front lawn, and I love the picture that I have in my mind of you doing that.
Right.
That was my question.
Okay.
All right. Ron, I had one earlier, but I think I'm going to change it up because I'm just listening to you. This is something more other than guitar playing and culinary. In what activity would you like to get a lesson from an expert?
Wait, and it can't be music? And it can't be.
It can be anything you really want. It could be some other instrument you haven't yet mastered, but I'm just curious, other than, you know, if there's something outside of culinary and music and maybe, you know, instrumentation, maybe there's something else you'd like to get a lesson from an expert from.
Now I'm thinking about a million things. I mean, I would definitely, and I wanted to this year, but it didn't happen. I would love to take guitar lessons from any of the greats, you know, because there's just so much to learn. There's that. I would almost say, a part of me would say dancing because I just can't and I suck. So to just break that ice and get comfortable with that. Because I'm about as limber as a tree stump. Actually, no, you know what it would be? Fuck, oh, so obvious. Yeah. MMA.
The fighting?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Incredible. I didn't, yeah.
What can I ask you? What about the discipline is it that you'd like to learn? Just the movement of it, or just the actual physicality of it, or what is it?
There's just so much to look for when you're sparring. Just, you know, I need someone to say, okay, you see how he's leaning in this way? That means that this is coming. So that opens up this. So right here, you can destabilize at that point and then do that, like that kind of stuff. Like it's incredible the speed of the thinking that goes into that. I mean, it's a little bloody. I may not be able to play guitar after that, but you know, it's incredible physical, just fast thinking. You know, the combination of boxing and martial arts, and just like you really, you know, it's the, you know, the defense is what really fascinates me.
Mm-hmm. What, almost like a parallel, the story you told us earlier of having to learn all these different things going on during an Asia song, that you're having to, like, your brain is all over the place thinking these things at once, and they're all happening like that. So I could see how that you could probably apply that to MMA and your desire to learn that. So thank you. That's not what I expected, but thank you. And also dancing, never go wrong there. I'm sure the wife would love it.
Probably more than the MMA.
Yeah.
Probably so. Yeah.
The last question comes from a fan. So this one is pretty interesting, and it actually it goes along with our theme, walking the plank. They're asking you, if you owned a boat, what would you name it? Gotta let the whistle.
I mean, the first thing that came into my mind is like SS Jennifer or something, after my wife. That's immediately what popped in my head immediately, the first thing. But I'm trying to think of something more. I don't know. You know what? That's the first thing that popped into my mind. I'm gonna have to go with that.
Go with your gut. She's gonna love you for that too.
Yeah, so anyway, guys, that's Walk the Plank. So thank you, Bumblefoot, for playing on that. Like I said, we definitely want to get you back for a part 2 of the interview, because we still have to go over road stories with you. We definitely like to talk about your music camp, and then also some of your childhood heroes. So if we can get you back here in the new year for that, we'd love it.
That would be great. It'd be my pleasure.
Yeah. So again, guys, check out everything that Bumblefoot has going on, from production to his albums release and also his hot sauces. So that's about it today. So again, thank you, obviously, both of you. And listen, thank you guys for paying attention out there. Again, find us, subscribe, and then go ahead and do a rate and review on us. That's it. Have a great week.
Great. Thanks so much.